I aced that test. I aced it. Okay, I don't know the score, but I feel like I aced it. But let's not be cocky, because when it comes to being way too cocky, sometimes it will hit you right in the back, right where it hurts the most. And that happened before. I'm not going to tell that story. But hey, I made a rebound and I made a great comeback. I made my own a little underdog story. Then again, I was never that, I don't want to say dumb, but basically it was my subject. It was something I can easily get a A or A plus. If actually college don't really have A plus, but basically that's a different story. So anyway, I just had to wait for the grading, and that is my new waiting game. It's the game I always been playing for a lot of things because, well, I pretty much mastered it. This is Sparda's World Podcast episode 19. Sparda 3G here speaking about some test grade that you don't even care about because, well, that's actually concerning on my life. Nothing else. Not about you guys. Because you guys only want to care about anime and manga. And, there's other things in other hobbies. But in this case, we're going to just talk about anime and manga here. So, there's a lot of news to break out. There's just news about the whole ranking, the entire sales, the first half so far. There's a lot about whole stuff about that. It's been breaking out since the weekend. There's a lot of good information. Something interesting. You could look it up in the website. You could check it up in the animenewsnetwork.com. And other sources to see the ranking, including the light novel as well. So you could just see anything has been progressing, who has sold the most. I'll give you a hint who sold the most in terms of volume. It's One Piece. So, but the interesting one is the Nanatsu no Taizai, that is the 7 Deadly Sin, actually passed One Piece, but it won't last long. But it is something worth noting moments. Granted, it is using the other volumes to help, but it is telling us that the anime made a huge boost to the series itself. So congratulations on that. And I did see the anime as myself, and that would bring me to this subject. Last episode, I actually announced an announcement to be made today, and here I am going to make an announcement, and that is starting, I can't say this Saturday, but it will be a Saturday based post that I'm going to start reviewing anime and manga as in the overall, not just a chapter, not just an episode, but the overall series. So that's going to start up perhaps this Saturday. It's possible that it might be coming up this Saturday, but I can't guarantee it. But it is a Saturday post that's going to be occurring from my Tumblr page on the anime and the manga reviews. I have seen a lot of animes, and I have seen a lot of read manga. Unfortunately, though, in terms of manga, a lot of them are pretty much an ongoing series. I am going to plan to start reading series that's already been done. So, I think it's best for me to do that because there's a lot of series I'm reading and I'm thinking like myself, how much can I carry those information in my head? Surprisingly, I remember a lot of things from a lot of series. Some of them I probably need a refresher. Like, I probably had to check on, like a Wikia. Even though they're not most trustworthy source, but sometimes they could help me up a little. Maybe more like, oh yeah, I remember that character name. And then I remember that character, and I don't need to look up like what he does, what he is, what is his background, etc., etc. But, for the most part, I remember a lot of things, and there's a lot of series I've been following. But I do want to start seeing series that that is already done. And I haven't got any of that yet. Anime-wise, yeah, I could still review them. Like, it could be just a season 1 of the series. I could still review them. Or I could review the overall as well. But that will be later on in due time. I know there's a lot of series that I have watched before. and I remember reviewing them. I remember reviewing Code Geass and reviewing there's a lot of Guru Lagann. I had to go back and find that one, but some part of me it tells me that they're probably a little bit it's different from today's, because back then it's something that's like, okay, I think I just done this in a very rookie way. So I mean, I'm not professional or anything. It's just that maybe I'm not sure. Maybe I overpraise it. Maybe I underpraise it. Then again, if I recall, I think I was fair enough. I don't give review score. That's the one thing I should let you guys know. I'm not gonna give you a review score. I'm only telling you what to expect from the series, what is the theme, and anything else. It's gonna be spoiler free. It's gonna break down 4 subjects. It's gonna break down to story, characters, content / action. It depends on the series. And lastly, the presentation. And then I would discuss the conclusion, the overall of the series. So that's how I work. I'm not going to be spoiling like, oh, the ending is atrocious, however. For example, this, that, and that. I'm not going to go do that. This is going to be spoiler free. That's for both anime and manga. Not just to let you know, for anime, it's going to be spoiler free and non-comparison to the manga or the original source. So you're not gonna see me saying, well, this anime was good, but it's nothing compared to the manga version. In fact, they erase a lot of things from the manga. So say, for example, if I review Tokyo Ghoul, I'm going to act like it's just an anime itself. And I'm not going to be like, unfortunately, this series has been too rushed and cut off a lot of things from the manga. In fact, that you've changed the story around. It's not so well written, and it's so heavily rushed, and characterization has been changed so much. Nothing like that. I'm going to play fair, and I'm going to be like an anime person, just wanted to watch something good, something extraordinary, and see if it hits the expectation or not. I'm not going to be like, well, the manga is better. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, what series isn't better than the manga? Well, there are very few exceptions, but that's not my point. My point is, I don't want to compare, because I did that, because I have done that for my review for a while. Now, I'm only gonna judge itself. I'm like, say for example, I've been hearing One Piece has been stalling a lot in the anime side. And, I've been hearing they only do 3/4 of a chapter per episode, which is crazy. Even though there's a lot of content in each chapter, more or less, it's just crazy, right? It's like, my God, this place is so slow. Give me a break, and stuff like that. But I'm just going to judge it based by that. I'm not going to say like, well, the manga version was actually quicker and stuff like that. Whatever I see in the anime, it's just the way I see in the anime. I mean, if when it comes to the anime episode review in the future, it will be like, I will just say that I can't wait how they will adapt the manga part. But I'm not gonna be like, because the manga did it better, so the anime was crap, or stuff like that. Maybe I'll do a little bit, but that's not gonna hurt the overall of the series. I'm just going to judge it as his own. Like, to me, I haven't really reviewed it, but I would just say it right now. Nanatsu no Taizai, the anime itself. Now, there are differences from the manga. Not heavily different like Tokyo Ghoul, but there are differences. And even so that's the case, I did find myself to be heavily enjoyed by the series itself. It's probably because of the action. The action actually works with the anime more easier than anything else. Like a lot of different series, the action has to work. It has to be done professionally. It has to be done frequently. Like Hunter x Hunter, it has to be done by a great studio. If it doesn't, it will look wonky. It will look crap. Nanatsu no Taizai, the action is all explosive, so you could get away with that. And kind of with like Bleach. It seems like Studio Perry at the time when you think about it, it probably was an easy adaptation for them because it was all explosive and everything like that. But unlike Bleach, Nanatsu no Taizai does have more I can't find the right word, but I guess you could say is more character in there. There's something about it, that series, that capitalizes more so than Bleach, or at least the current Bleach today. But that's for opinion's sake. My point is, I still enjoyed the anime, and I won't get into detail in my anime review. I'm going to be spoiler free. Just gonna say, I thought the character was handled well, stuff like that. I probably won't say like a lot of me, or I. I won't. I'm gonna just be like just reviewing, like I didn't find myself liking the series. I'm not gonna be like that. I would just say like say like what this series provided and everything like that. Same thing for the manga. So if you expect it for a review with spoilers, I guess you gotta find me in the extras, like the one that I'm going to do for Tokyo Ghoul anime. I'm going to review both of them, and it will be not just the person who read the manga, but also who saw the anime itself by itself. And I will do a lot of comparison, and that's where you get me in the comparison mode, spoiler warning zone. So something like that. I'll let you know if you really wanted to see more of those. But these reviews are going to be written in my Tumblr page. I'm going to have a different blog site for those sections, so that way I could easily keep it up. And my normal Tumblr blog page would just be, it's just a normal thing. I read blog stuff, like stuff, and, write down my random opinions, like Twitter style, whatever. The other one will be handling his own subpage. I will start learning the curves of the layout of Tumblr page, and I will start to reorganize things, so that way you could easily check out my review. So these things will come out on Saturday. I can't say for all the time. Now I cannot tell you it will come out only once per Saturday. It could come out like 2 to 3 stuff, depending how much I carry over. Sometimes I actually end up writing them and keeping in the draft. And then when I probably build it up, I probably have a lot of them and just review, be like, you get the manga, they get the anime. And I can't really guarantee it'll be only Saturdays. It could come out, I don't know, with Monday. It'll be like a special edition, even though there's nothing special about it. So I'm looking forward to try to work things out. Right now, I'm actually taking a break from work. I actually took some vacation right now. As we speak, I'm on vacation. It's only a week I'm only taking because I don't want to waste too much. I did a lot of stuff. I did the exam. It's very crucial to my career. So I did that, and now I just want to rest. And here I am resting with you. Well, not with you guys, but I'm just resting, talking to you guys. Or, you're hearing my voice only, and pretty much that's about it. So, yes, this Saturday, I'm going to do a review, anime review in this case. I haven't gotten a manga series that's done, and I have some manga, but I had to kind of refresh my memory before I start writing, before I feel like, oh yeah, that was the wrong idea. So, and stuff like that. You get more Sparda's impressions, but in my normal page, I already did the Soma. I'm planning another series very soon. So get ready for another one of those. I'm trying not to follow too many new series. Try not to follow too many manga series, like an ongoing one. I'm following more than enough, but maybe I will get like 4 more and then I'll be done. And hopefully maybe when Bleach ends, I'll get another one. But I do want to read a series that's already been done. And I already know what series to go for. So I'm okay with that. Other than that, that's about it. Again, you can see the volume sales, what series is sold the most, whatever, in the website from like animenewsnetwork.com or anywhere else. So do check on those. There is pretty interesting stats. All right, so I think you know what time it is. Let's get to it, shall we? kind of wish this series is still going 2 chapters per week. I can't say this chapter was slow, or I can't say they're going slow and stuff like that, and it's boring. I can't really call it boring. I just kind of wish... It's more of me being eager to see what's next. And it seems like the very end of the chapter gives you the idea what's coming next for this series. But still, I like to go faster and faster. Not to say this chapter was bad, because it wasn't. It was actually a fun chapter. It was a fun chapter. It kind of has that nostalgia coming back from chapter 2, but now up to date, of course. So, overall, I thought this was a fun chapter. I mean, if you don't like fun, if you don't like the comedy of it, then maybe this chapter would be like, eh. But to me, it was fine. It was just fine. Like I said, I think it kind of tells me we're almost, okay, we're not too close to the end, but we're getting there. We're really getting to the ending. Well, I don't think it'll be this arc, because it seems like this arc will be separated from the other issues, like Zeroth and Archonolugia. But, in due times, of course. So, we got back with Lucy, all happy, it feels like a good time, nostalgic. Now she goes back home. the owner's still, where's my rent? As you can see, the little box. It's kind of funny because Lucy made it seem like that's a normal thing. Technically, it is a normal thing, but jeez. So you get her showering, and of course, when you get her showering, you get fan service. The trademark of Mashima, or at least something that he's really knows to do the most. But then again, a lot of people keep telling me the magazine he's working under, they want him to do something like that. I'm not sure that's true. But if it is, whatever. The point is that the fan service is here to go. It's just here to stay, and it's here to keep coming back. And like I said, this chapter has a lot of nostalgic feel. And even the Natsu crashing in her room, he's just there chilling with Happy. So everything feels like the old days. And it's the only difference is Lucy was supposed to hit him, but instead he actually advanced himself by actually stopping the kick. He's like, nope, not this time. You gotta do better than that. Unless that was always like that back then, but I don't recall that. I remember recalling Natsu just getting his face kicked, literally face kicked. So he was telling her, they have a job to do. She was so happy because, of course, this all brings back the memories. This is all about fairy tales finally coming back once again. Except for this work. It's literally work, as in reconstruction, because they rebuilding the fairy tale guild. And not without Lucy accidentally dropped the towel, and pretty much Natsu got the full view, front row seats. I guess you could consider him one lucky fella, but yeah. So, now they all think about they all rebuilding is all nice and well, but they really want to have Makarov back, and they don't know where he's at because obviously he's not there, so they don't know where to start finding him. And fortunately for them, I think it's fortunately, they have an idea to find Makarov and have a poster, which they've written wanted. So, yeah, pretty much Makarov is now heel. A bad guy. Good job. It's just, like I said, it's just all around going back and forth comedy stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, this is a great idea. Why you make him seem like he's a bad guy? So, then you have Gray, he's all fixing the building. Juvia, of course, helping him. And then they started I heard rumor about these two actually stood together and they got married. Really? So a lot of gossip. I guess you could say they would started doing the gossips on the fairy tale, starting with Gray and Juvia. Mostly Gray. The fact that he said, I heard he was in an affair. Yeah, with who? Lucy. Really? Oh, and I heard secretly with none other than Urza. Really? He's like, what the hell is this rumor coming from? And pretty much is a lot of fun all around, going back and forth with different characters. We see Lizana, and Lizana doing her things, and she's pretty much a good service. So yeah, that's what she has been doing with her family, doing their service for a past year. So I guess they're pretty good at that now. So, it's interesting to see how, like, you can't just build a guild and then just have a guild. It has to be done under contract, according to Levy. Levy has to work with the documents. It benefits from learning from the council, which makes absolutely sense why she knows what to do. And it makes sense on why they have to do all that whole contract thing, kind of like real life with the whole, I want to open a business, and you got to go to the courtroom, whatever, the whole law office stuff, and you have to do a lot of things. I actually experienced it myself, so I know what they're talking about. So pretty much they have to do all that. They have to let them know, hey, Fairy Tales Guild is back. Can we let the certification know about this, please? So, because if they don't do that, then it would just be nothing but a dark guild. Makes sense. It makes really sense to me. So, lastly, the only thing is, since Makarov is not there, we didn't need a leader. And, pretty much this is where, like, oh, I'll be a leader. I don't mind. That guy, the sixth, no, actually, he was the fifth. He was the fifth. He wanted to be the leader again. He's like, oh, I don't mind, because he's like a placeholder. He's like a transitional guild leader. So, yeah, and then everybody's like, I'll be a guild leader and stuff like that. And I forgot to mention, when Lizana was doing her thing, Natsu was like, oh yeah, where's Elfman? Because I want to fight him. And then Elfman is like, oh yeah, you want to go for it? All right, let's do this. And then pretty much it brawled out. Again, this brings back memories from chapter 2. Just a little bit, just of course up to date. Even to the fact that Gray, for whatever reason, okay, first part makes sense, where Gray just hit Elfman because, he interrupted his reconstruction process. And then all of a sudden, Natsu just kicked Gray. I have no idea why. I guess you just want to mess around with people. That's Natsu for you, so what can you do? Then pretty much everything goes out of control. Everybody brawled out. And even to the point that Mina got hit by a bottle and she's pretty much KO. Again, this all reminds me of chapter 2. It only keeps telling me we're ending this series closer than we think, aren't we? I guess a lot of people likes to go that full circle route in terms of when it comes to, like, we're drawing near to the ending. Unless that's just these two, Fairy Tail, and even Naruto was doing that a lot. But, Fairy Tail seems to like is doing that as well. But then again, maybe that is the point. Maybe that's how Mashima wanted us to remember, is that Fairy Tail is always going to be like this. All rowdy, all wacky, all question mark for you guys. That's how it is. Just all around, just go back and forth, random funness. Then you have Urza, just took almost the entire 2-page of her telling them stop it. So everybody got scared out of their mind, and it just stopped. And that's where Levy was like, oh, okay, I got a great idea. Urza is a guild leader, and she became the 7th guild leader. I'm not sure that she officially become one, but it seems to me she will be in the next chapter officially, because Mess, I think that's how you say his name, he returns looking, I guess, cooler, because now he's a guild member. As you remember, the whole, I erase my own memory, or more like block my memory of being a more part of the guild, hold that thing. I thought it was neat still, but it was kind of funny how it works, but it was neat. But yeah, he came back, and he pretty much hinted what this arc is going to be about, and that is Makarov is in trouble from the sound of it, and it seems like the only one that could rescue him is the Fairy Tail Guild, and that's where the chapter ended. The reason why I'm saying we should have 2 chapters again is because I guess you could say the story is on hold But we don't have a real story to begin with, as in like what's the next plot, what's the next arc about. We don't really have that, to be honest. We only have them just regrouping once again and just reconstruction. I guess I wanted to know what is next. I'm eager for once with Fairy Tail that what's coming next, because the last arc was all just to show off, which I'm okay with it. And it did went by fast. It didn't take too long to make it seem like it's a serious arc, and I wanted to be like, that was quick, and that was a letdown. This is something that you were familiar with Fairy Tales in the past chapters. Past arcs. But, for the next arc, what should I expect? Especially the fact that these guys are strong. All of them are, well, okay, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them are stronger now. So I really want to know what's next. And it seems like Makarov, since he's already strong enough, he's in trouble. So that's saying whoever's up against him are pretty strong themselves. So good timing on getting that training, but that's showing it. But seriously, it seems like we're going to know what's the next plot for the next arc, and I'm interested to see what's next. Bottom line, this chapter was fun. It was a fun chapter. If you don't like the comedy, if you wanted to know what's going on next, I guess you gotta wait for the next one. The next chapter will obviously be more of a detailed chapter, more of a plot introduction chapter for the next arc, whatever the next arc will be called, because we don't know what's taking place. We don't know what's the situation. Well, maybe just the fact that Makarov is in trouble, but other than that, we will find out soon enough. And hopefully this was where they start to get things good. No new chapter for Nanatsu no Taizai, but there's a new chapter for the Gaiden of the Nanatsu no Taizai. Basically it's the same thing, but yeah, this is the Gaiden one. So because the last chapter actually has a two-parter. So the first one was the last week one, and today's is the newest one, the last one, in fact. And, wouldn't you know it, this one was shorter from the last one, because the last one was like 44 pages, I think, around there. It's in the 40s. This one is only the normal length chapter, if not 4 extra pages. And because of that, there was not that much to cover left when you look at the second chapter, because the first chapter was enough introduction of the Diani, her sin and what was being dealt with the whole giant clan and Matrona. So this one, there's not much to go on. So this one is more of a conclusion to it. Even though, it would be nice to be longer, but then again, I think this is the right choice to just shorten up and don't drag it a lot. There's some mysteries. There's some mystery to be unfold. Most likely, it will be in the official, the official series itself. No side story, no guidance. Well, it's the same thing. Pretty much, you're gonna get more answers from within the series. Kind of like, because, when you look at King Gaiden, his Gaiden, you got the story of him meeting Diani for the first time, and, it seems like you gotta read this. I mean, you should read it. It's always good to know the information. It's a good read, too, from all these Gaiden so far. But my point is, even though if you didn't know there was a Gaiden, the series itself, the original series itself, is going to bring it up. Which happens in chapter 110, where Diani actually still talk about that whole the whole past relating to King. Basically, what I'm saying is that we will most likely get a summary in the actual series. Now, does that mean these guidance are temporary? I'm not sorry. Mandatory. That's what I meant to say. Are they mandatory to read? More or less, but I do believe it should be read, and it is more interesting when you do read them. it just makes the character, it just exposes the character more, and it does help out for to understand the lore and the story itself. So of course you should go for that. You won't miss too much if you don't read the guide. Maybe a character that you will miss, but you won't miss too much. I guess I could appreciate the anime to incorporate with the guide and stuff. But my point is, you won't miss too much in terms of story, like, the main story, like, oh, I found out the Ten Commandment was from this. But, it's still worth to read, of course. So anyway, this is the end of the guidance for Diane. And, the entire overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought the last Matrona strike was pretty damn cool. Actually, it was like one of the most brutal thing I have seen in this series, which kind of says a lot when you think about it, because this series has been pretty damn deadly. So, I know the distinction between shonen and seinen, but maybe in terms of graphic, it sure is hitting there. Sure hitting that level. As seinen offers too much more gore and too much of a very sexual stuff. But point is, it is pretty damn graphic in this series in more ways than I would imagine. So, again, I overall I really enjoyed this whole entire Gaiden, and it's pretty saddening for Diane had to get this kind of sin that she has to deal with from this chapter of this Gaiden itself. And it makes sense by the time Matrona was about to be on a deathbed, or was on a deathbed, and it's not supposed to make you feel sorry for Matrona, more of Diane, because the idea of Diane was that she just wanted to have her freedom. She wants to be like a normal person. You know how a normal person gets. You go out there and get a job, do this, do that, get married. Something that she was dreaming of. But instead, she has to grow up with the giant clan, where they just are like mercenaries. They just know how to fight. When they kill, that's their joy. That's the only joy they can offer. They can get from the other guys. They get paid and stuff like that. That's not really normal life. Normal life is what I just told you. Granted, you could do those still as a human being, but you want to do more than that. So Diane has to learn the harshest way about like being a strong person to protect yourself and stuff like that. Man, Matrona has to die for this kind of way to teach that a lesson. And so, they got hired by the Holy Knight, Giano, I think that's how you pronounce it. They got hired by him. Of course, you already tell Diane and Matrona have a misfit because in the entire Dolores situation, Diane didn't even want to go. She just, I guess you could say she forced to go there, or she just go there because, that's their job. So whatever. And pretty much, Matrona was telling her, you gotta hide that emotion. Just let that emotion out of the way for now, because right now they have a job to do. And, she's telling her what to do and stuff like that. And she reminded her of Dolores. So, because that's what happens to Dolores. She tried to do her job, be a strong fighter and all this stuff. And what it led her to, it led her to her death. So, that pretty much tipped it off. Then, the Holy Knight supposedly was promised to them that it was going to cooperate. And, he was like, oh, I hear some sound effect coming from this way. The savage is from that side. And it is like a quicksand trap design. He's like, I believe I've heard it from there. It's right there right now. So instead of Matrona doing her usual attacks, like throwing things and make rocks craters coming from the ground, she ended up going straight towards it. And then she caught into a trap. And that's where you find that the Holy Knights and everyone else, the army, just fooled her. Just because they know that killing a giant actually works more than killing the 1,000 of savages. So in other words, they are just a huge pile of bastards. Just wanted to get a huge reward just by killing a giant, Even though the giant's job is to be higher, it's not like you find a giant hired by your enemy. Instead, they hire their own giant, and they wanted to kill their own hired mercenary. It's ridiculous, and it's just barbaric. It's the irony of human, right? It's just ruthless. It's just rude. Just awful. But then luckily, Matrona obviously survived from that, and then the fight broke out. It's just all chaos, go all out. Diane, of course, she was at first like, I couldn't believe you just did that and stuff like that. How mean and everything like that. But, at that case, she should have fought. She should have just, fought on. And I guess that's one of the reasons how Matrona went to her death. Especially when she went to heavy mode. When even though there was like an arrow coming to her way, the thing is that arrow was a special one. It filled with poison that it could kill a giant even so. So imagine Matrona wasn't not being there and just Diane would have took the bullet. Then again, I guess we would have a 6 deadly sins. Or we would have a 7 deadly sins with somebody else, but that's a different story. Point is, she saved her, and Diane, of course, we've been down to see Matrona took the hit and just feel saddening because the fact that she's on the verge of her death. So pretty much, even though Diane did not like Matrona doing the whole thing, mercenary and everything, she still has the emotion of carrying people, and instead of trying to fight instead of keep fighting, she actually she just whelp on the fact that somebody's gonna die on her end. But Matrona managed to speak one last time, telling her that, well, you gotta fight. You gotta fight on, and you gotta keep up because you have this. You got this emotion. You got this compassion, and it's not. And she didn't say it's nice to have compassion or to be compassionate, but the idea is that just the fact Diane is all compassionate about this whole her life and everything. That's where it's gonna lead to anybody else to get killed, let alone herself. And pretty much this is where we found out that the reason why Matrona is doing all this is 2 things. One is about how the reason is that the father and mother of Diane was actually left in her care. So in other words, that's the reason why Matrona has Diane under her control, or under her care rather, is because I guess, well, they really didn't really say that, but they I guess they, in a very, very brief way, they just say they want to raise her. They want her to raise her like a sister, like a little sister. And the other one is the other part is it's about how she raised Diane. And the thing is, Matrona only knows how to raise them as fighters, as warriors. Doesn't know about who wants toast, who wants to, like a normal life. She doesn't know anything about that. She only knows combat and warfare. So this is the reason why. So you could say it's the wrong person to do it, but that's just how it is. And Diana is different from the other giants because she's so compassionate. And she's just, like a normal human, but just big, of course, and powerful. But the point is, she's not like anyone else. She's not like Matrona. She's not like the other giant clans that are just being a higher mercenaries. Yes, there'd be giants that's just weak, like Dolores was. But she didn't want her to fight. She just didn't like that. But it's all about being accepted. So, because of all that, it just because of all that, Diana didn't fall back, and Diana just let her own guard down, and really don't trust herself in terms of protecting herself. But she's being too naive because she is strong. Again, you heard a cave talk of her saying that Diana has a great potential to be a very powerful asset to the giant clan. It's just that Diana is so happily, all passionate, all just wandering around on free time. But, she has the potential. It's just she's not going to come out. It's not going to come out because she's just too happy and she's just too lifelike, which is nice. But sometimes you should mix both of them. Being a not just a warrior, but like also just being a human person. You could do a mix. It's just, I guess you could say Diana chose one side, which is nice. But if you have all that power, don't let it go to waste. Don't let all that go to waste. So that's her sin in many ways. That's really her sin, which makes sense with I think it was envy, right? If it is, then there you go. She cared about her. She cared about the one way of life. So oops. This is where I like this double panel, this 2-page part where Matrona did her final attack to destroy majority of the army base. And my God, it looks really cool. At the center is gruesome, especially one of them, which happens to be the Holy Knight, the Guyano, the one that hired them in the first place. His head literally got stabbed straight from the bottom chin straight to the head. Straight up there, and pretty much go lift it up all the way to the top. I don't even know which one is him in that double page one, but you get the idea. He got stabbed. He pretty much dead. So that's pretty much the idea. You already know that the guy's dead, as well as everyone else. And as I mentioned before, being naive, he got to fight. She has the capability to protect herself, but because of her ways of life, she needs to understand that before she get herself killed out there. And the lowest thing that you ever get is these guys just pretty much having a brilliant idea to get out of this situation, and that's framing Diane. He's like, I got an idea. How about we frame Diane? We do this. We have her say Diane was driven mad by jealousy towards the brave warrior Matrona. So pretty much she kills her with poison, and then she attempts to cover it up by killing the entire innocent knight. So yeah, that's their way to do it. What a bastards. Tell you, she just goes to show you that these guys are just so low. So yeah, that's where she gets prison until she was supposed to get beheaded, and then until Milidus shows up. And luckily, because when if you recall the last chapter, if he didn't show up before this moment, actually I don't even think this moment would exist. So maybe it would have existed. I mean, that happened with King. He's like, hey, it's King, how about you join me? Or hey, who's this guy, this Bang guy, how about you join me? But then again, I think this one does benefit from the last chapter of meeting Diane before getting beheaded. Because, obviously he knows her well enough to trust her. So that's where he recruit her to the Great Deadly Sins. And that's the end of the Gaiden. It was enjoyable. I really like the ending. I really like how, it's more of a life going backstabbing Diane in terms of like how the life works. They got the Holy Knights who only supposed to use the giants as mercenary, but instead they used it for their own gain. And you got the entire her potential being blocked because she'd rather pick one side over another, where she didn't have the opportunity to do mix of both. She had a chance. I mean, she's doing it now. She could do it now, but her memory is lost. So point is, it's a lot of things that just block her way to make it a really high potential, really fully potential of Diane as a warrior and as a person. So yeah, that's about it. Pretty enjoyable Gaiden. Next week we're going back to the normal chapter, so we're gonna start seeing what's next for her, what's next for the Deadly Sins, and still hoping we could see Escanar very soon. But I guess I gotta be waiting more. Unless they bump into him. Maybe he'd be there out of the random spite. So who knows? So, end of Gaiden. I can't wait for what's next to come in the series itself. I wanted to keep this low as possible in terms of the content of I'm going to review. But I will say this chapter has brought a lot of materials in this table. And it has a lot of things to work on for the next arc. That's right. It seems like this arc has officially ended. Or maybe there will be one more chapter as in the aftermath. Which that's one I'm looking for a lot. Because there's a lot of development that happened in this chapter. And we get some aftermath for certain characters here and there. With a lot of interesting take. With a lot of interesting foreshadow. In terms of the characters that we're going to see in the next arc. With all that said, this chapter was great. This chapter was great because not only we got some really, really fun action in the beginning, even though it was short, but there was a reason why it cut it short since this whole situation blew up out of proportion, especially where Arima shows up. But yeah, pretty much this chapter brings out a lot of materials and the mission has officially ended for CCG and Ogiri. But point is, this chapter brought a lot of materials and it brought a lot of developments for Sasaki. And it really, really makes the next arc and the future one really interesting to see how this is going to go down from this point forward. Especially for the team itself, for the Queen squad. So this is a really good development, and I'm glad there's no status quo. Even for Sasaki, I thought there would be a status quo on him. I thought there would be like, I got Kaneki controlling me, and it goes crazy, and then I resume my control again, and that'll be it. So it's like, oh, we're going back to normal thing again. It's like going back in circles. And not only that, we get the much better understanding. Well, okay, I think a lot of us already know Kaneki so well enough from the last series. So in this one, it's expected to know that Kaneki isn't really a bad guy or really a mind freak for Sasaki. Instead, is what we all know. He's just an innocent man. He's just an innocent boy. So this whole chapter itself was so great to I try not to talk too much, so I'm going to be as brief as much as possible. But there is a lot of things to talk about, and there's a lot of things to look forward to the next arc. So the one question I will be before I begin this chapter, the one thing I actually find interesting is supposedly the first panel with Takizawa talking to himself, saying, I'm sorry, Mom, I'm sorry, Dad, I couldn't resist, I couldn't help it, and stuff like that. Supposedly, there was a raw edition of that, and there was an actual different translation, and it was said that Takizawa perhaps ended up killing his parents, as in eat them alive. I don't know if that's accurate. It's highly possible he has killed his parents. I'm going to guess that could be the sister too, but I'm not sure why the sister didn't brought up. Maybe she lived. I hope the dog lived. For crying out loud, Takizawa is just out of his mind. He needs to be put out of his misery, if you ask me. If he really, really killed his parent, I think death is his fate. And it sounds weird, but it's like, of course his fate is death. There's a lot of characters that could be like, oh, maybe his character could just be a wanderer. His character just could come back and, hopefully he gets accepted because of his condition. It'd be hard for them to accept him. Stuff like that. But in this case, it has to be death because he's really screwed up. He's really screwed up in his head. Everything around him is it's becoming very hard to see now. So yeah, I hate Takizawa to try to manhandle Sasaki all alone and think he's the best of the best. But of course, knowing him, if you remember the first series, his character, how he is, and how he portrays. So seeing this kind of character change is pretty upsetting to see if he truly did kill his parents. And I just think he has to be put out of his misery. There's no cure or anything. It's just die. So I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe there's something good could happen to Takizawa. But right now, I think his fate is death. But anyway, we got to Kaneki and Sasaki. Yeah, I'm saying both of them because they were conflicting each other. Sasaki wondering, like, I don't even know who's controlling his body anymore. And, Kaneki is starting to question him. Ever since you used my power, let me ask you this. Am I scary? And, I really like this whole mind issue that Sasaki has been having since the beginning of the series. I mean, most likely it happened a lot back then, but of course, we, the audience, are starting to read the series at a certain point. So we're seeing this, it goes back from the first time where he was like, hey, you're weak. You're going to die. Use me. You're weak. Use me now. And stuff like that. And, Kaneki never come out like, moo ha 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 ha. He never come out so evil and crap like that. The usual shonen crap that you always get. I'm not hating on shonen. I'm just saying, you usually get these kind of stuff like, like these demon inside of you. You could say Kaneki was kind of portraying that, but at the same time, we all know Kaneki isn't like that at all. He's just telling him you're weak because, well, Sasaki was weak without Kaneki. Not to say Sasaki is horrible. He's not. He's really good. And, he has Arima fighting style. So in due time, he's going to really master that. He's going to perfect that. And then he has the whole centipede if he could control it. He could be really, really, he could be a triple S Ghoul right now. Well, maybe not right now, but he's getting really close to that. But point is, Kaneki in his mind was never evil. He was never vicious or anything like that. He's more Kaneki. He's just Kaneki. It's just another mindset of him. He's talking to Sasaki like why he should be scary. It's because he's strong, very strong, which is true. And you see the entire fight going at it is pretty damn crazy. It's short, unfortunately, but it was pretty damn crazy. Like the way how they fight each other, the way how they impale each other so badly. Takizawa tried to get the upper hand only to get his ear bitten off so he could regenerate. And then they square off in one final blow. It's a lot of double page usage in this chapter, but it still felt like a lot of material still covered up. So I was afraid I was going to get a very, very, very short chapter of them fighting, then a lot of things interrupt, and that'll be the end of it. So it felt crazy to know that there was so many materials that come by. But before the final impalement, we have the Kaneki in his boyhood self telling him he's scared. I don't want to be erased. Please don't erase me. In other words, he's no different from Sasaki. And it makes sense because Kaneki is an innocent guy. He's an innocent guy being placed in the wrong time, in the wrong place, and how the story is. So, him being a white hair little boy just show the purity of Kaneki. And Sasaki finally understand that Kaneki is the same as Sasaki. Not just because they are the same, literally, but it's just the mindset. The idea of disappearing is the worst thing that could happen to them. So remember the whole entire Sasaki being conflicted to either use Kaneki and disappear or just die altogether. So that's the reason he don't want to disappear. He wants to know the memory, but at the same time, he's scared. If it will erase him, it will erase him completely, the identity, the memory even, from everyone in the world. So now that he understands that Kaneki is also scared, and Kaneki don't want to be erased, the same mindset, go figure, right? The same thing as Sasaki. Sasaki can relate to that, and it's ironic because they are the same at all. They are the same, but I really like this whole him accepting Kaneki, not in the way because he's just powerful, but the way how he has the humanity in him. He has the purity understanding that ghouls are not really all that evil and everything like that. Especially with Hinami being such a care person to Kaneki back in the last chapter. And so because he knows that Kaneki is a good guy, he knows Kaneki is pure. He decided to save him. He will save him. And yeah, I don't know how this is going to end, but I do hope both memories emerge together, so that way then nobody's really erased. Now, in terms of name, I don't know what name he's going to go by, but point is, I do think they will merge together. They will help together in this whole case. They will come. I just hope for a good ending for once, because I don't want a bad ending. It's just upsetting. Sasaki, Kaneki deserve a good ending. They deserve a good resolution. I mean, he's fighting back well, especially the fact that he knows that Kaneki is not a bad guy and he's a good guy all this time. In due times, a lot of things will come back in full force. I do think the whole Tokyo Ghoul first series was all downhill spiral for Kaneki, and I could only hope Ri is all uphill spiral for Kaneki. Sasaki, as whatever you want to choose. Then, because of the short fight, it was a short fight because CCG, the S3 squad, finally shows up and pretty much ended this whole entire thing. And they're pretty much recapping the objective they had. And there was two of them. One was to escort a steel truck that carries a lot of Quinque equipments, a lot of weapons, I guess you could say, and the auction raid, which is that's the one that we focused the most. So yeah, that was the two objectives, and Ogiri didn't know such an early time. If they knew much earlier, they would have planned this much better. Instead of like, oh look, there's a steel truck as soon as the auction raid happened. So I guess you could say what goes around comes around, because it kind of reminded me of Ogiri, the one where they go against the Ogiri base, only to find out there are other Ogiri people went to the asylum, you could say, for CCG, to that takes SS ranks and higher ghouls in imprisonment, and they release them and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, so now this one is their turn to feel that to understand what they had to do, what they had to deal with before. So the first one was actually taken care of Moren. I can't really pronounce his name. It was a guy from the first series. So kind of missed that guy. I really missed that guy. He was funny with that whole motorcycle incidents from Shizuya. So I missed that. I missed that moment. And then of course Washu took care of the second, which I didn't like, because Washu was a prick. Let's be honest. So S3 squad came out. They pretty much taking control in the entire auction area. You see Uta pretty much telling Roma to retreat, because their deal is over. Everything is taken down by the CCG. Ayato. We're going back with the Ayato. Wanted to say everybody, now that Hinami is in trouble, or in his case, well, yeah, she is in trouble, because we'll get to that. She got in trouble. Ayato was like so upset that he was like, I gotta save her, she's still inside. And Naki's telling her, no, there's nothing you can do, there's too many people now. And Ayato just got pissed. So I'm not gonna go shipping mode, but I guess you could say that could be the case. But to me, I would like to say, if you recall from the last chapter, last chapter, Ayato is a very caring person in terms of his teams, at least. But he's a very caring person. He put the people over objective. That's how caring he is. So Hinami was part of the faction of Hayato within the Ogiri. But the thing is, she's still there. The whole CCG just round up the entire auction, And I guess you could say Ayato failed protecting his friends. So, damn. I do have a lot of respect for Ayato. With that said, knowing that they failed two objective, the Ogiri, especially Ayato is supposed to be in charge of Big Madam, which, by the way, is confirmed a guy. So I think he's a transsexual. I don't know. But anyway, point is, Big Madam died. They're supposed to protect her, him, whatever you choose, guys. That's a big fail. And then they failed to stop the steel truck from escorting the Quinque weapons. So that's two fails. That's big fails. I don't know what they accomplished. I mean, sure, Takizawa managed to fall on Sasaki and try to make him go bring out Kaneki or make him suffer to the worst. But it seems like it did more good than harm. Because now Kaneki and Sasaki understand each other, and he understands Kaneki. He's working together with Kaneki now. He will save him. Oops, I don't know. So we see Psyche still around. That is the torso guy. He's still around. Actually, still wondering about Masuki. I guess he really has some obsession with him, or now we should say her. So is revealed to at least Ure, but we'll see. Interesting note is Mirumu, and he was actually in the auction much earlier in the series, in this arc. We actually see him, I think, only once, and believe it or not, that's Tsukiyami's father. Yeah, that's his father. How nice of him. And it seems like he's going to be involved in the next arc. More interesting note. So it's a lot of faction in this series, and it's a lot of characters you're trying to remember. I'm kind of surprised I remember a lot of them. So it's a good thing that Ishida hasn't really used too much character within. I mean, he has used a lot of character, but a lot of them are focused surprisingly well. I didn't lose too much tracking. I actually follow along nicely. Maybe if he really adds a lot of character, like I just mentioned, all in one, maybe it'd be harder. Maybe. Because it's like, one hand, this person's doing this, the other hand, he's doing that, because of this, that, blah. You know, it's hard to say. So, again, the reason why Hinami is in trouble is because Anima shows up. Damn. But that's, I'll be honest. When I read the spoilers, I almost froze, because Anima is like your death wish. It's pretty much your Grim Reaper. It's your Shinigami. It's your death vet. It's your last will. Once he shows up, it's all game over for a Ghoul. It's all game over. The interesting part to me was the whole Kaneki pleading Anima to please don't hurt her, please don't kill her. And then, the reason why I'm saying Kaneki, I do believe that was Kaneki talking to Anima, because when you look at the later scene, it switched up the tone and it sounds completely different from the other one. Why would you say she is mine and stuff like that? Unless that is Sasaki talking, but he's talking on the behalf of Kaneki. I actually like that small detail, especially where later on I'll get to that, because there's a lot of between scenes, especially with the whole Quink squad actually getting credit for their accomplishment. For like Shirazu and Psycho are gonna get accomplishment for the fact they took down the Nutcracker, which is the Nutcracker case. That she was an S rank Ghoul, so they took her out. And Shirazu is gonna get a lot of credit for that, as well as Psycho. Ure and Misuki gonna get credit for going to the Ogiri underground base to go to find Big Madam. And Ure did took out a good amount on Big Madam for the last recall. With the fact that she was he. I'll go he for now. He was about to eat him, and then he escaped and it pretty much damaged her and all that other stuff. So, they deserve the credit. they happened to mention about the Kura Iwa, the guy who break the freaking Ghoul's neck. He was mentioned in front of Ude. We don't know what's his reaction, or we don't know what his character is now. I hope he's changing. I hope he's not the same thing. Then he'll be the definition of status quo, and I don't want that. I hope he's gonna evolve. I hope he develops. So I'm gonna wait for the next chapter to see the aftermath. This is the reason why I've said that for a good reason. But we don't know his reaction. We don't ever see his eyes. We didn't see his full face, his eyes mainly, to see the actual reaction. We only know he's tired out, worn out, and he heard that whole being mentioned, like so heavily praised, whatever. This is so many materials. Floppy. We have Floppy. Supposedly it's Floppy. He kills some of the Ogiri members because, well, I really don't know. They didn't say. CCG just know that Ogiri member was getting killed by us by something, as they say. But when we get it up close, not only he is the guy that Sasaki is supposed to find, but it seems like as many people has guessed it. I guess I guessed it in some way. Maybe I guessed it, but I didn't. I didn't think too much because I just let it be. But it seems like Floppy is in fact, well, Almond. So seems like that's Almond, and I guess he's doing cannibalism as well. Now the question is, if that's Almond and he's attacking Ogiri, how exactly did he get away from the whole experiment, the whole Kaino's lab and all that experiments? I'm assuming he got experiment. Because he just did something to the Ogiri, and he fought Ogiri. It's not that easy. Not to mention he has to be experiment since he was missing an arm. Unless he's still missing an arm, I'd be kind of shocked, but I doubt it. Most likely got replaced, of course, like Takizawa. But we'll see. Now the interesting part is the name calling from Almond, as I'm guessing. Well, I was just calling Floppy, but I'm assuming it's definitely Almond. But anyway, the name calling, he says, was Yasuhisa. Now, if you remember Yasuhisa, that's the twin sister, the one that came from the raid of Kanu Lab arc, and we haven't heard him since that arc, actually. Mainly because the fact that one of the sister, which I believe is Nashiro, she was in a deathbed, and we don't know if she really did die, but we do know that she's there. Not her, the one that's dying, but we do know at the very least, Corona is there, and that's where the name calling comes from. Unless the name calling is actually the one that was dying, Nashiro. But in due time we'll find out. Maybe she's not dead either. Maybe it's just that one of them just went with Floppy. But I don't know. But I'm going to assume it's Corona, and I'm going to say they are working together. And she's doing the cannibalism, so expect something to see a Kagaja. Should be interesting. And I'm happy that Ishida did not forget about them, or her at least. But mostly them, since we need to know the fate of the other character, and then we can get to focus on these two. So good job to remember, but it's not that far off. But still, I'm liking the fact that we're not dropping these characters like nothing because they're just a bunch of trash, which they are not. So yes, a long-awaited reunion. It's short, but I wonder what's the aftermath and what's the idea of that. Akira meets Takizawa right before he leaves, and caught her surprised that Takizawa is in fact alive. But unfortunately, he is a ghoul now, a one-eyed ghoul no less. And Takizawa just looks like a maniac, of course, and just fly off. And we don't know what's next, and maybe this will give her the idea that Amon is alive or could be alive, because you can't just say, yeah, he's alive, that means Amon's alive. More like, that means Alma could be alive. And maybe she would get involved in the next arc. I mean, she was doing a lot of ass kicking in this one, but maybe in terms of development and in the mental state, maybe in the next arc she will get caught into the mix. I don't know. Especially that in this case, with the whole Sasaki seems to be like more stabilized, which is a good sign. Though I think the problem is they don't want him to know Kaneki, and they don't want him to conjoin with Kaneki in order to make it Kaneki fully come back. That's not what they want. They want an artificial kind of Kaneki, a la Sasaki. But we'll see how that's going to work. And it is interesting to see how Arima was about to get ready to fight, was about to get ready to take down Kaneki. Because the way how he was talking, the way how he's saying, please, don't, she's my, like, he's saying, like, and then he asks, and then he say, hi, and, with a question mark, of course, and he has his weapon already up to draw. Then that's where Sasaki started to talk differently, saying, like, hey, listen, I got this person in my corner, so can I please take her? So yeah, to Hinami's surprise, Sasaki's gonna take her and adopt her. So he's gonna adopt her, and it only brings a lot of interesting future aspect. Like, now the like what the relationship is gonna be like. What kind of development am I expecting from this? I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see the whole Queen's squad to interact with Hinami. Hinami's not a bad person, and we all know that. So it should be really interesting to see how that's going to go down, and interesting to see how everything is going to build up from there, because anything is possible. I feel like Kaneki is going to make a huge comeback, and it's very interesting to recruit Hinami to the team. And I don't even know. It's just so many good possibilities coming out of this. I'm so interested how this all plans out. So, in the chapter ends before showing the rankings, before showing who's getting credit, we have Kaneki, giving the shush to Sasaki. They look like two little kids playing it together. And Sasaki pretty much say, I lied. And it's interesting because, of course, Sasaki was always loyal to Arima. But in this case, he lied to him. So you could see that he's becoming more and more independent, which seems like something that Arima does not want to have, which is the reason why he was about to strike down Kaneki and ended it completely. So this should be really interesting to see how far can go before they start to realize Sasaki is working together with Kaneki, which Kaneki can bring back to himself, which could be a hell of a disaster within CCG. And I don't know we still don't know why Arima recruited Sasaki or Kaneki in that time. Why did he keep him alive? Why did he recruit him? And why all this? What is the meaning behind all this? So, a lot of interesting to take, a lot of interesting awaits, and this chapter was just great. I really, really like the entire material, really like this whole build-up. I like the aftermath. No status quo, at least not yet, at least I'm hoping not. Mainly for Ude, because Ude has been dealt with a really pretty good development in this arc, especially when you recap the entire series so far. It all makes sense why he all like this. So I'm hoping he changed his ways, and hopefully a lot of people understands what they went through. It's amazing to see how much how Psycho has to witness Sasaki almost lose himself, and she got scared that she thought Arima was gonna kill Sasaki, because Sasaki was becoming more Kaneki, which is a ghoul, which is established one-eyed ghoul established enemy and supposedly established dead. So it just brings a lot of trouble within, and there's a lot of things to look forward to. I don't know what's the next arc exactly going to focus. I just know there's a lot of new path coming in. We got Sasaki and Kaneki working together. We have Hinami being part of the Queen Squad, which is something to look forward to a lot. We have possibly Ogiri coming to do a punishment on Ayato, because the fact that Ayato abandoned Big Madam, that's a no-no. So it's a lot of things to look forward to the next chapter in the arc itself. So great chapter. It's a great way to build up the hype for the next one. And that would do it for today's episode. So I hope you enjoyed that long review again. Again, it's about the chapter. It's about the content. I made a mistake for not trying to shorten up. I apologize. Maybe the next chapter, something will be less content. I can't guarantee that. It's all up to the mangakas and their job on writings. So I really can't control anything, and I have to talk about them because they are interesting notes. But I do apologize for making it so long. So remember, perhaps this Saturday it will be the anime manga review, the overall review from me, yours truly, and my Tumblr page. If you don't know, my Tumblr page is sparda3g.tumblr.com. I will leave the link down here in this channel, this page. So hopefully you will see my review, and hopefully you give me a good feedback, or just send a feedback. I don't care if it's a good one or a bad one. Just let me know how I did my work. So please do so, and feel free to comment in any time. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Spread the words. And that's it for today's episode. And I'll see you next time for more Sparda's World Podcast. Take care, everyone.